She stole my husband and thought she won, but I stripped away everything she had, until even her freedom was mine. Hello, my name is Evelyn. I am 29-year-old. He always believed betrayal had a smell. Something sharp and metallic, like rust or blood. The day I discovered my husband's infidelity, the air in our home carried that scent, though at the time I told myself it was just my imagination. My name is Evelyn, and I was married to David for 12 years. We lived in a stone house on the edge of town, a place I once thought was my sanctuary. I had filled it with memories, photographs on the mantle, laughter in the kitchen, the scent of jasmine candles drifting through our bedroom. But behind the veneer of love, a darkness had been forming. It began with late nights. David claimed work demanded him. I convinced myself that love meant trust, that questioning him would mean doubting the man I had given everything to. But silence can only hide so much. One evening, when he left his phone carelessly on the counter, a message appeared on the screen. 4 words that struck like a knife. Can't wait to see you. The name above it, Claire. I knew her. She wasn't a stranger in the shadows. She was my closest friend, my confidant, the woman who had held my hand through grief when my mother passed, the woman who toasted my wedding day, saying, I hope one day I find love as true as yours. The betrayal was double-edged. My husband's lips on another woman, and my friend's arms wrapped around what belonged to me. That night, I sat awake, listening to the echo of their laughter in my mind. Something inside me broke, but not into fragile pieces. No, it fractured into sharp edges, each one a blade. I didn't confront them. Not yet. Rage burns too hot to waste on screams. It must be harnessed, cooled, sharpened like a weapon. Instead, I played the devoted wife. I kissed David's cheek when he came home late, though I smelled the perfume clinging to his jacket. I invited Claire to brunch, though bile rose in my throat when she smiled at me with those practiced, innocent eyes. Are you all right, Evelyn? She asked once, sipping her tea. You've been so quiet. I wanted to reach across the table and shatter the porcelain cup against her face. But revenge whispered in my ear. Patience. So I nodded. Just tired. The truth was, I was wide awake. I began to watch them closely. Their glances, their excuses. I became a shadow in my own life, collecting their lies like currency. And then, the idea came not as a spark, but as a flood. If Claire had stolen my husband, I would take something greater from her. Not her lover, not her possessions. No, her freedom. Claire worked at a law firm, a place where reputation was currency and one mistake could shatter a career. I knew her routines as well as I knew my own. Morning coffee from the corner cafe, lunch at her desk, files left unguarded. In her office when she rushed for court, I began with her passwords. She had once laughed about how she used her dog's name Luna for everything. With patience and caution, I slipped into her emails, her private files. What I found there was a gift from fate itself. Claire, so meticulous in appearance, was not as careful behind the curtain. She had been embezzling funds from small clients, skimming amounts so insignificant most would never notice. But patterns don't lie. I printed everything. Transactions, signatures, even messages she had sent to herself as reminders. A careful thief, but a thief nonetheless. And then, I waited. One night, David came home late again. His shirt half-buttoned, his tie askew. I looked at him and realized he no longer resembled the man I married. He was hollow, his laughter forced, his eyes darting. Are you happy, David? I asked quietly. He froze. What do you mean? Nothing. I smiled, just wondering. He kissed my forehead, distracted, and went to bed. I sat alone in the dark, the folder of Claire's crimes resting on my lap. I could have ended it that night, confronted him, thrown the evidence in his face. But I wanted more than confession. I wanted destruction. I began to feed Claire's pride. I told her David seemed distant, that I feared he no longer loved me. She played the part of comforter well, her hand brushing mine, her voice syrupy sweet. Oh, Evelyn, she murmured. Sometimes men just drift. It doesn't mean he doesn't care. Her words were poison, but I swallowed them, letting her believe she was winning. Meanwhile, I built my case like a fortress. I made anonymous copies of her files, sent whispers to the partners at her firm. But I timed it carefully, ensuring the news would break on a night that mattered most. That night came sooner than I expected. David told me he was going on a business trip. I didn't question him. I only asked where, and he mumbled something about Chicago. But Claire slipped an excited text meant for him. not realizing I had already mirrored her messages onto a hidden device. Can't wait for our weekend at the lake. The lake. Our lake. The place David once promised we would retire. Rage surged through me, but beneath it lay cold calculation. I packed a bag, kissed him goodbye at the door, and then drove not to my sister's as I told him, but to the lake. From the shadows of the trees, I watched them. My husband and my best friend, tangled in each other's arms in the cabin that once belonged to my dreams. It was then I released the storm. I called Claire's firm. You should check her accounts, I whispered. Look closely. Tonight. By morning, Claire's world had collapsed. The news spread quickly. Claire was suspended, her assets frozen, an investigation launched into her theft. She came to me in tears, playing the victim. Evelyn, I don't know what's happening there. Accusing me of things I didn't do. I pretended shock. Oh, Claire, how awful. Her hands clutched mine. You believe me, don't you? I looked into her eyes, the eyes of a woman who had stolen my husband, and I smiled softly. Of course. But inside, I was already savoring the taste of victory. David tried to defend her, of course. He swore she was innocent, that it was a misunderstanding. But the evidence was irrefutable. He didn't know I was the hand that guided the knife, and when Claire was arrested, I stood outside the courthouse, watching as she was led away in handcuffs. Her freedom, her career, her pride all gone. David looked at me then, eyes wide with confusion and fear. Evelyn, did you have something to do with this? I tilted my head, feigning innocence. What are you talking about? But he knew, maybe not the details, but the truth flickered in his gaze. He realized too late that the woman he betrayed was not the same woman who once loved him. Our marriage ended not with shouting, but with silence. He left, broken and uncertain, chasing shadows of a life he could no longer rebuild. And me, I remained in the stone house, the scent of jasmine filling the rooms once more. But it was no longer a sanctuary. It was a throne. People often ask me if revenge tastes sweet. I tell them it doesn't. It tastes like iron, like the sharp edge of betrayal cutting both ways. But it sustains you. It makes you stronger. Claire stole my husband. She thought she won, but now she sleeps in a prison cell, her freedom stripped away, her name ruined. And me? I walk free, the world still believing I am the grieving wife and loyal friend. But the truth is darker, sharper. I didn't just survive betrayal, I became it. Thanks for watching.